Today, we're talking about standards under fire, getting staff to follow IFUs, leadership pressures to cut corners, and failure to document safety concerns. This episode is in need of SPD 911. Welcome back. SPD 911 isn't just a show, it's your emergency response team for sterile processing. Having a diverse organization, people make the mistake in trying to make everyone the same.
SPD 911, we stand
Yeah, you're asking for a pay raise every year.
Heard the stories, seen the tears, raw and real, we face the fight, supporting each other, night and daylight.
Welcome back to the show, SPD 911. I am your host, Dr. Jake Taylor Jacobs, and I'm more than elated to be here with you today because I get to talk to you about sterile processing. And not only do I get to talk to you about sterile processing as it currently stands, I get to talk to you about sterile processing with Sharon Green Golden. Oh my goodness.
Hello.
I'm excited about that. Listen, usually we are joined by our Director of Operations, Derek Jones, but today you get just Sharon Green Golden and good old Dr. Jake.
Okay.
Oh, yes. So those that are following and watching for the first time, SPD 911 is your lifeline in sterile processing and perioperative services. Our goal is to ensure that patients get the care that they deserve and sterile processing technicians get the praise that they absolutely have earned. So SGG, well, how has your week been? Talk to me.
Oh, my week's been okay. It started on Monday with working out a few kinks at the hospital, but otherwise it's Wednesday, wonderful Wednesday, and I've been in a little class, and so knowledge is power.
What's one thing you learned this week?
Let's see, what did I learn? This is true. This is what I learned this week. I learned that I have to read the instructions for use on my car.
On your car?
Yes.
What happened?
Well, we jump in cars as long as we can push a button and push the pedals, we go driving.
Hey, we're going. We're going. That's right.
Yeah. I had to find how to open the hood. And it wasn't where it used to be in the olden days.
Oh, you went to the front. You was trying to feel for it.
There's nothing there. I'm down on my knees. I'm just like, what? Where? How? And then something said, get the book, little lady, and read the instructions. And I read the instructions, and my latch is on the inside door panel.
Yep, on the left side, right? On the left?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And it's a little square. You wouldn't even know it was the latch.
Listen, so sterile processing and reading IFUs have helped you transition over in life. You don't need no help. You just need the IFUs.
I just need instructions for use and the rules of engagement, and then I can function.
One thing that I've learned this week for me has been setting hard boundaries and not bending them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
When you set the hard boundary, don't bend it for anybody.
That's true.
Yeah. That's what I learned this week. I'm in this week on that. So I'm excited about it because it's benefited me. Not bending those boundaries actually saved a lot on the business side. So I'm excited about that. SGG, I do got a question before we start. I have a question. How do you deal with, and this is off kilter, but I did want to ask you this on the show, with your vast experience just in the workspace in general, working with all types of people of all different types of caliber, how do you deal with those who choose not to acknowledge your value for the sake of their own feel good without it triggering you?
Well, I may not be the best person for this. It took me a while. First of all, It took me a while to even realize my value.
Yeah.
I am of the generation of we went to work, we did our job, we did it to the best of our ability. We gave 120%, and we hoped that somebody saw our worth and what we were doing. We didn't pursue it, we didn't push it. We internalized when people looked over us, and not knowing that if you first know who you are, how much you're worth, you have to be willing to make some hard decisions. And in my field, sometimes that required being willing to walk. So on my last 2016, that's how long it took me to get myself together. 2016, I realized what someone told me at least 10 years earlier, that I was good enough to get a job somewhere else, to not allow anybody to hold me hostage. But I still allowed that hostage situation to go on because there's a certain amount of fear with telling people what you're worth. I finally stood up, Dr. Jake, and said, hey, let me tell you all who I am, what I am about, and what I'm worth. Let me help you understand you're not compensating me for who I am and what I'm worth. And I understand if you can't get there, but understand I'm willing to walk because I'm good enough to get a job somewhere else. And you don't have to accept my work. You can say, well, we really don't think you work that much, Miss G. That is your prerogative. But it's also my prerogative to go fishing and find somebody that is like-minded, that wants to take me for what I'm worth. And I finally woke up one day, and when the call came through, I said, well, in this case, we're talking compensation. What are you all compensating people for what you're going to ask me to come and do? I know I can do the job. I know what I'm about. I know what I can do. And when they told me, they said, do you know anybody? And I said, I know somebody. They said, who? I said, me. And the job I was at, Dr. J, could not believe I was willing to walk. People think that they have you pigeonholed and held hostage. They were like, you're going to give up your job here after all these years with the company? I'm like, the company isn't doing anything for me. This is a one-sided love affair going on here. And I was willing to walk. And so I think that, for me, that's where I stood. And ever since then, I've tried to mentor other people to understand, number one, always know what you're worth. Go into the building knowing what you're worth. Don't wait on anybody to tell you what you're worth. You should already know. I'm worth more than $2. So $2 is not going to work. I know too much. You're able to share with people what you can do. And that's something, Dr. Jake, I've learned a little bit from you through leadership, that you've taught through leadership, which I didn't get. That as a leader, this is what I can do. I don't need you to teach me this. I don't need you to teach me 1 and 1 is 2. I already got that problem solved. And you need to know I know the answer to that problem. And now that you know that I know the answer to that problem, understand I probably know 4 and 4 is 8. And so now you can go ahead and let me come in, because I'm going to be able to help you do what needs to be done. And at this particular institution, after they interviewed me, I interviewed them. And I said, this is what I'm worth. This is what I'm willing to do. This is how far my integrity, as you were saying, setting boundaries and not bending. These are my boundaries. I'm not going to bend. I'm telling you from jump, I'm not going to bend. And if I am outside of where you are, you're bending, you going left, right, north, south, I might not be the person for your company, because I'm going to stop the line.
I think that's an amazing answer. And DJ, I actually got a question for you. I am going off of script a little bit, because I just felt something that somebody needed to hear this. DJ, how do you deal with people who refuse to work with you and they don't even know you? They've come to whatever judgment about you before actually even getting to know what your abilities are and who you are. How do you deal with that?
Well, it's a bit of a challenge. What I try to do is focus on the ultimate goal, and why I'm here, why we're here together. You know what I mean? Why, whatever your preconceived judgments about me or your unconscious biases about me and the situation, I try to find the answer or the purpose, and the purpose is why we're here. And then I always try to allow my patients to let the situation unfold where I can display my abilities to achieve whatever it is I'm trying to achieve, or whatever I'm bringing to the team, because there's a purpose for us to be here together, whether it's a project, whether we're working together, whether I've been put in a position and you don't believe that I'm qualified for the position. All I can do is show my abilities, display my professionalism, and meet the expectations to change your narrative of me, as long as it benefits the outcome. But I've learned that with patience, believing in myself, understanding that we're not always given the same platforms. We're not always given the same tables to sit at with the resources. I've always had to prove myself, even as an adolescent, as a child. I'm a sports person. So when you play sports, you got to prove yourself, right? You're never just given an opportunity to get in a start position. So I try to apply that same thought process to taking on new tasks or whatever I'm doing. And then just have a little bit of patience with the people that need to learn who I am, learn more about me and my abilities.
Yeah, in my instances, what I've learned, DJ, you kind of brought it home. Remember what you're on the project for, and that you're there on assignment. What where a lot of you all fall short is we put too much emphasis on people liking you,
Mm-hmm.
people showing you reverence, because there's a lot of people that already naturally in their mind already feel away and or have already made a decision about you. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that you can do. And can I tell you the truth? We all have done that. Doesn't matter what someone has done. It's just something about them. I just don't. They remind you of somebody from high school that broke your heart or something, and you just can't get past it.
Mm.
What I want to tell everyone here: you do the job, you do it well, and don't give them a first-hand account of what they feel about you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give them the inch to be able to do that. And two, never allow anyone to get you out of character. Um, Within the range or within the realm that you need to be in. Now, sometimes you do gotta set some people straight. You can do it with a smile on your face. But at the end of the day, your number one goal in any professional setting, especially as you climb, the higher you climb, the more people will not like you.
Mm.
The more you position yourself and the more you're edified, the more people will start to retract or push against you. That has nothing to do with you. This is the law and order of the land. This has been here since time has existed. A prophet has no honor in his own home. How can someone in your own home have no honor when the world recognizes you? That
Mm-hmm.
portion doesn't matter. What matters is you know who you are and whom you are in God. What matters is you know exactly where your heart is and your ability to execute. And lastly, is to remember your job is not to impress anyone but your yesterday self. That's
Mm.
it. That's it. If your yesterday self is impressed with your today self, you did a number. You did a number. And
Yeah.
that's what matters most. When you can look in that mirror, when you strip off all the makeup, the clothes, the weave, the hair, the nice braids that DJ got, it's all it's in a fro. All you have to do is look at yourself in the mirror and you see all your wounds and your scars and your mistakes and all of that. But if you look at your beautiful self and say, hey, self, I'm proud of where we are today. That's the only thing that matters, because what you received and what you achieved and what you're going after in this life is solely for you. That's your journey. And never let anyone take you off track of that. All right, y'all. We ain't preached in a while, so I did want to start off with a little preaching.
That's a good message. That's a good one.
Because we're talking about standards under fire. And when you operate with a high level of standards, people that either want to cut the corner of standards or don't want to adhere to standards, those are usually the ones that don't feel good with who you are. So they try to pull things off of you to strip you to be like them when you don't have to be, which takes me to scenario number one. It's a situation that despite repeated trainings, some SPD techs skip IFU steps to save time, insisting we've always done it this way. This causes tension with those who want to uphold standards and creates a risk for compliance failures. How do I get my team to follow IFUs consistently, Derek?
Wow. That's a hard one. Well, it's not hard because it's really a part of the job. So it's not difficult to do. However, you got your super technicians and people that have been in the role for so long. They almost feel like the ideal of being grandfathered into SPD truly exists when it does not, because we all know that the industry is always evolving with new technology, equipment, processes, all of the above. That's the reason for having updated standards, updated AAMI standards, AORN, and all of the above. So translating that to some of your team members, especially your tenured staff and team members, can be difficult as they're often set in their ways and they hold so much value in feeling as if the experience overshadows the standards or overshadows their ability to grow or the necessary opportunity or the necessariness, if that's the word, used to grow. You know, they need to understand that as the industry evolves, as their trade evolves, they need to evolve. So that simply can be done by updating written policies, standards policies, and making it mandatory for them to be involved in services. I'll give you an example. If there's an equipment update or a change in the way we're reprocessing, I think one of the biggest things, I think in the last maybe 5 to 10 years was going from using a BI on the first load and implant loads to every load of the day. You know, helping them understand the importance of testing each load every day or running a BI on each cycle, and also educating them on the faster turnaround times of reading off the biologicals. If there's a change in product, the way it's manufactured or disassembled or cleaned. Sometimes you need that vendor, that rep, and that in-service to get them to first understand the necessary importance for the change in that IFU, and the necessary importance of understanding why we have to follow the IFU, because it can lead to maybe a damage of equipment, maybe flaking of equipment, or so forth. At that point, after we educate our teams and our staffs on the importance and the necessary need for the change, then you write the standards. And now you can hold them accountable. Simply hold them accountable by corrective actions if they don't follow these things. Understanding IFUs, following standard work, that's all a part of the job. That's all a part of being a sterile processing technician. And if they don't understand the importance of those simple things, then this is not necessarily the profession for them.
But I got pushback. I've been doing it for a long time. Everyone knows who I am. I've never gotten the write up. I've done all this. I'm too busy. I'm doing all this other stuff to even. No one's getting hurt. Y'all talking. Everyone's being extreme. These new leaders are coming up and pushing stuff that has never been there. Sharon, can you tell Derek be on my side? Like, that's not needed. Like, I don't need none of that.
Listen. There is no room for your thought process in my department. That's number one. We will follow the instructions for use because that's the right thing to do. I understand that for 40 years you've been washing clothes at the river. We're not at the river no more. We got a washing machine in the building. Come on in the building, learn how to use the washing machine. I think that people use bad habits as a sacred cow. This is what we always did. That's because we didn't know any better. We were ignorant. As we have become professional in this field, we can no longer tolerate your ignorance. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to educate you because knowledge is power. And when you have knowledge, no one can take that from you. The instructions for use are there for a reason. As I shared with Dr. Jake when we started off, I'm driving a car because I can drive a car, but I never read all the instructions for use. Therefore, when it was time to open the hood of my car, I didn't know where that button was. It wasn't the car manufacturer's fault. It wasn't the dealer's fault. It was my fault for not reading the book they gave me. They gave me a big book, lots of stuff in the book. So instructions for use in our profession are there to help us process instruments correctly for patient safety. And because you've been processing them wrong and you don't know how many people you killed in the past, that's no excuse to keep doing it wrong. Now that we know, once you know, Dr. J, once you know, you can't go back. Ignorance is not a defense, but once you know, you can't go back. And I'm here as the leader to tell you the rules of engagement. We will follow IFUs. Number two, I have to make IFUs available by any means necessary. Number three, I have to make sure that you are competent to understand those instructions for use. Number four, we're going to have a crucial conversation. And in that crucial conversation, I'm going to emphasize to you and the team as a whole, this is what we will do, and this is what we won't do. There is no room for deviation.
Well, I hear what you're saying, but I know that both of you all can't really let me go
Goodbye.
because you're short. It's a short thing. You can't
Bye.
refill.
I'm gonna help you write your resignation.
I think and here's the biggest thing. It seems to me that in certain situations, more people are apt to holding standards when talking to certain persons, whether communication style, they speak proper, or they speak from, where you come from, or cultural acceptance. But it seems that sometimes even who is holding them accountable is the pushback that some are getting, especially if they feel like the person holding them accountable doesn't have as many years of experience in that said space, or haven't been doing this particular leadership position or space as long. Can we talk to that a little bit? Like, talk about these differences, like how certain people just with command can get anyone to do anything versus others. There's more pushback, there's more questioning, there's more drilling, there's more disregard of experience. Can we talk about how to navigate that and potentially maybe y'all may even know why it's there?
I think that's a culture problem. I think that you have to establish what type of culture you're going to have. And the amount of years of experience cannot negate you following instructions. Those two things don't go together. I would say I've been working 30 years, therefore I don't have to follow the instructions. No, you've been here 30 years, and the fact that you got away with not following instructions by the previous leadership no longer amounts to anything. We're making a change here. And what I used to tell my team was, if you're doing it wrong, Dr. J, It's my fiduciary responsibility to not let you keep doing it wrong. You harming patients. And I empowered my team members to check each other. Now, if I check you, Dr. Jake, and say, Dr. Jake, you know you didn't clean that instrument correctly, and you push back, I'm gonna check you a second time. I believe in 3 strikes. On the third time that I check you, I'm going up the chain. I'm gonna say, I've checked Dr. Jake 3 times on this issue. He doesn't want to hear it from me. He says that he's been here for 30 years and they never did a BI on every load. And I've explained to him we do. I've showed him the policy. I've showed him that everybody else is doing it. He still insists on doing it his way. Well, now it's time for the leader that I've gone up the chain to step in. And I think that sometimes leaders don't like to step in between employees. They'd rather they fight it out. I never believed in that, Dr. J. I told you, you're empowered to check. If when you check, the person doesn't accept it, come get me. I'm Charles in charge. I'm gonna see what I can do.
That's right.
I just think that's the right thing. And you hold everybody on the same level. I don't care if you've been here 20 years or 2 years. If I'm driving down the highway and the speed limit is 75 and I'm doing 100, they don't ask me how many years I've been driving. They give me one of them tickets. They take you to jail is what they do at 100. But the bottom line is they don't say, excuse me, ma'am, we see you got white hair and you probably been driving since you was 16. We're going to let you go. No, I have to accept. And this is the thing, Dr. Jake. People don't like to accept the consequences for their actions. They try to put their actions off on you. And you cannot allow people to hold you hostage. That's my word for the day, for what they're doing wrong. You're doing it wrong. You could harm in this fact, what we do wrong can kill a patient. If a patient gets a certain infection because I sent dirty instruments through and something got in that patient's wound and they can't heal and they die, I don't get the message. They don't call me. The family has a funeral, life goes on. They don't even know that I harmed them. So I can't afford to play that type of Russian roulette. Harming patients due to ignorance. So no, we have to do, come on, Derek, what you have to do to hold people accountable.
No. So, and I was just thinking about that, and some of the situations that I've worked through, often it may feel threatened, right? A new person or a new process change. The fact that they weren't able to be a part of changing that process or learning that change, or feel threatened because they've done it a particular way for so long. They've taught others and they've used that as sort of leverage to display their knowledge and ability to whether it's withhold knowledge and experience over a given area, that they give that pushback because they don't want to give up that leverage of that area of that knowledge that they perceive they have. So the best way, I think, to help them get to the point where they understand the need for the change is to help them be a part of making the changes, right? Of training new people, learning the right way, gaining the knowledge and understanding of the need of that change, and then helping them to teach others the right way to do it. But sometimes people may have it in their hearts and culturally doing it their way displays a sign of independence, their own thoughts on knowledge for personal growth or gain, or whether it's just showcasing their abilities to perform a task, even if it's not doing it the correct way. So I don't know. It can go many different ways with this one.
This isn't a single game. This is a team. Yeah. This is patient care. You're not on the island by yourself. We on the island together. And we're supposed to be walking the same direction, doing the same thing. And so I think it's about allowing people to understand we're going the same way, and I need for you to fall in line. People
Yes.
don't like military allergies, but acknowledgments, but you got to follow the leader.
Yeah.
And the leader came in and said, we will follow. I know we didn't do it always. IFUs. I've been doing this. I'm older. When I first got into SPD, we used to throw the IFU in the trash. We didn't even read it. We went with an assumption. I'm sad for the patients we may have harmed. We threw that in the trash. But one of the things, Dr. Jake, they put into the job description was that you had to finish high school and be able to read and comprehend. You know why?
Yes.
Because we're supposed to be able to read and understand the IFU.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that you didn't do it the first 25 years, and here comes Lucy, who when she learned SPD, we've been knocking it for the last 15, 20 years, all she knows is an IFU, then you have to conform to the rule, to the standard, not to what Mary said, to the standard. And I think that's where we get conflicted. You're worried about the fact that Dr. Jake came and told me I was doing it wrong. All right. Are you doing it wrong? Yeah, but. No, yeah, but. Dr. Jake was right to come and tell you you're doing it wrong. He didn't call you out because you was doing it right. He came to you because you're doing it wrong. So your job is to turn around and do it right. And that's all I want to hear about is how you're doing it right. Now, did Dr. Jake come and cuss you out as he told? No, he just came and tapped me on my shoulder, just me and him, and said, you're not following the IFU. And I got into my personal feelings because this is how I've always done it. And nobody else has ever told me I was doing it wrong. And how dare Dr. Jake feel he's entitled to tell me I'm doing it wrong. He's only been in SPD 3 years. Well, thank God for Dr. Jake to come and have the ability and the wherewithal to tell you you're doing it wrong, because look at all the people you've been harming. I put it back on the person, Dr. Jake, and I hold them accountable. People don't like that word, to their, only to your doing, and accept the consequences. And I'm all about accepting consequences, however the fruit fall off the tree. And if you cannot, and you give me enough pushback, then I have to prune your branch. That means you won't be here anymore because I'm gonna cut you off. Because I can't afford to have patients' lives at stake because you refuse to change. Change is hard. I've been there. But you either conform or you leave.
What if that person is the leader?
Goodbye.
Where the leader is the manager.
Okay.
The team is following.
Mm-hmm.
The director is absent.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do when leadership pressures technicians to cut corners? The manager tells the team to speed up, turn around by skipping documentation or bypassing. Majority of the staff isn't really certified, so they don't know what an IFU to an AMI standard potentially may be. These are buzzwords that they hear.
Mm-hmm.
But then one technician goes to a conference. They find out standards. They understand process. They go and get certified. And now they're in this cesspool of past sacred cows that they're living in. And the leader is saying, hey, forget all of that. We're processing getting through. My leadership hasn't said anything. We're okay. What do we do? Because I think everyone, it's easy to give leadership tips and what ifs in perfect scenario and perfect worlds. I mean, we see it all the time. We see it, everywhere with leadership conferences. And I see people, speak on stage, that haven't really led. You see people, pull out, the hats and the different color hats that you wear. You see people come up with these isms and these words and these symbolism for every word and descriptive, meanings to that sizzle in your head. But those are all great in practice. What happens when you're in that space and you're in that environment where you you don't have the ability to just pick up and leave. You have to have that job right now. You're in a space where you have to. What do we do then? Like, what does that person, how does that person navigate in an environment that they can't just go travel? They can't just go get another job. They know that something wrong is happening, and they fear retaliation because the leader is the one who's driving it down and saying, "Hey, I have no pushback from my leadership." What do we do there?
You know, I want to say that is hard if it is the leader. Let me just say for hospitals, every hospital has a compliance officer. Every hospital has a compliance officer. People, listen to me. You cannot allow things to be going wrong in any field that you work in, but especially in the field that we're working in, where every instrument you touch could touch a patient's body. You cannot allow things to just be going on because someone doesn't know what's right. They don't want to do what's right. They don't want to hear what you learned. They don't want to read what you learned. I understand. I used to come back from meetings half-cocked with half the story. It was up to my manager to read and study the whole story to see if what I said was right. But if they are knowingly doing something wrong, and you've tried to bring it to their attention, Dr. Jake said, I don't know where the director is. The director's missing. Everybody's just flying their own kite, however they want to. Then you have to determine in yourself with integrity what is the next step. Everybody's not Sharon Green Golden. I believe that the compliance line's supposed to be anonymous, and I'm gonna get a message to the compliance officer that we down here doing things all kind of ways. Y'all might want to come visit. Now, you've heard me say this, and it's out in the airways. You know, you want to keep your job. So I'm not, and I understand this is what people tell me. I can't report it because they'll know it was me. Well, I think if you didn't have loose lips, they wouldn't necessarily know it was you that did the complaining. But there are ways around getting the message to the C-suite and to the people that need to know. What I want to say, and this is Sharon Green Golden's opinion and how she functions. I'm going to turn it in. If I've done all I can, Dr. J, I've told the manager 5 times, and we looked at the book and we read it, and he still says no. This is how you're going to do it. Then I've got to go to the next step. My integrity will not allow me. My integrity, not the rule. My integrity to the rule will not allow me to sit there and let you not clean instruments correctly. It just will not. I don't know of many managers, and I don't want to meet you. If you're one of those, please don't come meet me, that would ask your staff to do something fast. We cannot function FAST. All of our functions have times to them. I'm going to just tell you. They have some time limits, and you cannot just go and do it fast. And to ask your team to make a shortcut, your integrity should tell you this is not the place for you to work. And if you came to me as a regular technician, and I was a regular technician, and said, cut this step, and this step, I just want you to know, you already know it was me that called the compliance officer. Because I'm going to tell. Because I am concerned with the patient's lives you may affect. And one of those lives could be mine. That's just me, Dr. J. I don't know that's just another pretty way to do it. But to sit back and allow people to do things wrong because you don't want to hurt nobody's feeling and you're scared of losing your job is just wrong. We didn't take up the oath like the doctors do, but we do not have the right to impact a patient's life. And you would understand that when it was your child or your mother that is over there dying from an infection due to contaminated instrumentation, because at our little hospital, we don't want to do it right. And a lawsuit may pay you a lot of money, but the person that paid with their life is gone. And at this point, they're not putting SPD techs in jail yet. But I mean, this is America. Anything could happen. I'm just saying.
Well, and what I'll say to that, well, I can't say it any better than her, and I stand with you, Miss Golden, because it is a patient safety risk, and at that point, you almost turn into a whistleblower, because me personally, my integrity will not allow me to knowingly harm anyone. I didn't sign up for healthcare to hurt anyone, and I'm gonna let it be known, anonymously or non-anonymously. At that point, I don't care. I'll be willing to walk out, leave the job, as long as I know that I brought it to the attention that we were doing things that aren't, that puts lives at risk. So I stand with that in that level of integrity. And in fact, you have to have integrity to work in healthcare. I think it should be a requirement. I think that's something that you during our interview processes, we got to do, engage in the type of people that we're introducing and that we're hiring in this field. Now, people do very well during interview phases, so I'm pretty sure things will come out as they go on, as they work their career. But if you don't have integrity, if you don't have empathy, or a level of compassion and care to details, then healthcare isn't for you, because you cannot short step any duties or roles. You can't even take short steps in EVS, how we prepare the food in the cafeteria. Every single job in within healthcare is extremely important, and you have to be able to have that and be able to speak up when you see wrong.
Yeah, I came from private sector, and I'm the only way I can be, SGG, is honest, and hasn't made me liked by a good number of folk in this space. And what I want to say to that is good riddance, because if you want to go and progressively, climb the ladder, make millions of dollars, get on jets and flex Rolexes and, pose and do all the other stuff, go to private sector. Go private. That's where I came from. That type of behavior is acceptable there. Cutting corners is acceptable there. Why? Because in most cases, no one's dying. Nobody's grandma is on the line.
Yes. Yeah.
Somebody's retirement may get drained. Maybe a bad investment or two. But we're not talking about a life.
Right. And
to one have snooty attitudes in healthcare, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I liken it to working at McDonald's, Dr. J. You can be the fry chief, and if the fries aren't fried crispy, nobody gonna die. And if the people accept them limp fries, okay.
Yeah, you can talk crazy to them. That's private sector.
Yes.
But when I made the decision to come to healthcare,
yes,
I valued meeting people who cared deeply about what they did. I valued hearing stories from Karen Terry Brown, Sharon Green Golden. Derek Jones wouldn't have let his integrity be challenged, so he left the industry and came back when he felt like people's heart was right. You got the Angus Bruce that's in Boston. You have these people that truly care about what they do, and that's what made me say, you know what, this is as close to church I'm gonna get my mama. That's close to church I'm gonna get her. Because just to see folks jump from hospital to hospital without finishing what you started, just for the sake of position hopping, to come with the gravitas of a stockbroker in healthcare. It's utterly ridiculous. And at some point, I'm okay. You know, Karen Cherry Brown may call me later and say, Dr. Jake, you probably went too far. And I'm gonna tell Karen Cherry Brown I didn't go far enough. I didn't go far enough. Because truly, you can skip step in any other industry and do amazing. But to go to sleep at night knowing that you skip steps in the one industry that can truly impact the way somebody lives the rest of their life, you're the worst of the worst.
Yes.
And if you don't like Dr. Jake, I'm not talking about for SIPs or for SPD. If you don't like me, stay not liking me. Because I hope that you feel uncomfortable being around me. Because standards of doing right, having gratitude, being grateful, being gracious, being kind, having empathy, that's what this space needs. You talk about a transformational leader, that is somebody, regardless if you're a tech one or you're an executive at the board, is having enough gumption inside of you to say, this is what I won't stand for.
Right.
And if this is how y'all are going to operate, I'd rather not have a job.
Yes. And Dr. Jake, I've had several past employees that I trained, Derek, that have called me and said, Miss Golden, you won't believe what they're asking us to do. And what should we do? And they will tell you my answer never changes. After you followed the steps of letting them know it's wrong, you got to do compliance. You got to call the compliance officer. I've had some people even call me and say, I had to quit that job. I couldn't stay there. They're washing eye instruments with no cleaning agent. I said, they're doing what? They will not use a cleaning agent. I've told them, I've showed them, I've explained it, and they keep saying no. And they were paying me good money, Miss Golden, but I had to walk. And I said, that's called integrity. You had to walk because you care about patients. Apparently, they don't care if the patient's going blind down the road, but you do. And sometimes we've said it, if you will not stand for something, you will fall for anything. And as you say, Dr. Jake, in the fields of health care, where someone comes to you with a problem, it's your job to enhance great outcomes, not to send them home with something extra that could compromise their life. And what we do, processing, the cleaning, decontamination, sterilization of instrumentations that goes into a body will compromise some patients. If their immune system is compromised, if they have comorbidities, you can compromise that patient's outcome. They would have been well in 2 weeks. Now it's been 6 months and they've been on all types of antibiotics. You don't even know that. You down in the SPD still doing stuff wrong. But the moment one of your family members gets a problem like this, you're ready to call 5 lawyers and the newspaper because you know it's wrong. You have to do it right. And I say it each and every day because you see what we do matters every patient, every time, every tray. And I will stand on that to the end.
I'll tell this story that I haven't shared. I haven't even shared it with you all. My little brother has been blind since 6 months. He was a preemie. And back in those times, they didn't actually follow protocol everywhere. And they kept him on the oxygen tank too long.
Yes.
And it removed his retina from his eyes. After that, he had other complications. He had 17 surgeries before he turned 2. 9 of the surgeries were to fix the mistakes from the first surgeries.
Oh, Lord.
So when we talk about, when y'all hear me get excited and riled up, it's because imagine having a little brother that's in his 30s that they didn't say could walk or run and do all these other things that he can, been blind since almost birth, had autism and all the other things, and all because a couple of people skip steps. forgot to turn the machine off, forgot to rotate them, and we didn't know anything.
Right.
And it was a phenomenon happening all throughout the country that we all thought it was a standard, like it just happened. It was a coming to find out years later, if just changing the oxygen tanks, just changing, rotating oxygen, working with those babies, letting them breathe on their own, saved so many other children from going blind and having all the other mistakes and things that my little brother deals with to this day.
Right.
So when I talk about healthcare and I'm telling, when we talk about real transformational leadership, you are not a transformational leader if one, you're leading from a place of just trying to survive your position and your job. That's not leadership. If I can go into your facility and there are things that are happening, you're the one that's saying, man, I can't get it, I can't drive it home that this is important. Like it's only until your family member is on that bed, or you yourself are on that bed, then all of a sudden you get all the confidence in the world. That's not leadership. Leadership says, I'm going to stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves, even if it doesn't affect me personally.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to do that. So when we talk about SPD911, we give you guidance. We talk about leadership, transformational, being organization being bred to lead. It starts with one person, whoever that leader is in that department. The culture and the nature of your organization is dependent upon the strength and the backbone of the leader, regardless.
Yes.
That's it. And you don't have to do it with a hacksaw tearing people down to fear you. You do it with standards, and you let those standards do all the talking for you. And you coach and you build people up on the personal side. That's how you develop a transformational organization, because people weed themselves out. You don't have to go and fire nobody.
That's right. That's
Upholding the standard weeds people out.
Absolutely. And I believe that. And I say this, and you won't find anybody that will tell you that Miss Golden fired me. They will say, I didn't want to follow the rules of engagement, the standards, the processes. And so Miss Golden allowed me to give up my job. And she actually helped me. She helped me because I will help you write a resignation letter. It's a good one, and I will accept it so that you can go somewhere else. Because it's apparent that we're not going to be able to work together, because I have standards. And this is the other thing, Dr. J. I think people will tell you that Miss Golden is who she is. She walks the talk that she talks. She doesn't say one thing out of her mouth and do something different. I always hold the standards book up and I tell people, this is not what Miss Golden said. This is what the book says. This is what Amy says. This is what AORN says. This is what the CDC says. I'm just the one reading it to you. But we will follow it because, Dr. Jake, all hospitals have a mission statement that says they are there to care for the patient. And when you come into orientation, you sit there for them 5-8 hours while they tell you you're in a place where we care for the patient. I happen to work for different ones where we care for you mentally, spiritually, physically. We just care for the whole body. And here you are in SPD taking shortcuts. I think not in my SPD, not with my knowledge.
Yeah, I think that the one thing that hospital systems shouldn't have to worry about is most things that are unchanging. Those are departments that we can control. EVS, we can control that. Materials management, for the most part, we can control that. Most part. SPD, we can control that.
Yeah.
Nurses and doctors, they're the ones that usually they have to look at a patient. They can have all the same symptoms and they can have a 1 of a million rarity that they have to figure out before the timeline.
Yes.
So if anything, the hospital system shouldn't have to worry about are the things that are mostly unchanging. Last I checked, if I look at a pick sheet and I see a epidectomy set from Dr. Booty Boo,
Mhm.
If it's the same appendectomy set has been done the whole time, there shouldn't be any resolve or mistakes
That's
unless
right.
there are things that are unchanging or unless I do not see.
That's right.
The thing, these are just fatigue. Yes, fatigue can have you faltering back over time. You know, yes, it can make you like overlook some things. You got metrics and things in place that can help you stop that. However, this is what I want to say. That's all I want to say. The things that should not be changing often shouldn't have a ton of mistakes. Let's leave those other things to the professions that have to literally read what's going on. I like to attribute this, and then we can close it with points. As a corporate fixer myself, usually when I go into an organization, they can have all the same symptoms of underperforming. Right, you go into a business, revenues down, organization up, people are disarray, cultures everywhere, people are angry, family business, or they bought out this birth. They got all these things, and you get to the read, you do all your exams and your X-rays and your MRIs in business, you figure out what's kind of going on, and you get to a root cause, but every root cause that looks the same isn't the same. That's hard. A company timeline going down, just like a health of a patient going down. You only have so much time to actually stabilize, or everyone loses everything. The same thing in healthcare with doctors. But the one thing that we can make sure that we hold the line on is that we hold the line.
Mhm.
If we want true respect in sterile processing, I'm just an advocate. I'm a microphone. I want y'all to get paid more. I want y'all to get the respect more. But you know what's going to get that if you hold that line?
Mhm.
You got to hold the line. And they got to know that this hand is unchanging. If everybody decides to hold the line, this line is unchanging, then we can start to see the type of change that you all want to see. But you can't pretend to be nurses and doctors in SPD. You can't.
Mhm.
You are your position. So hold your position is enough. Your position is precious enough. It has that much value enough. So have pride in that, or just gracefully leave the industry so that those who can be inspired of holding that line, they love to hold that line. They're happy about holding that line. Those are the people that are the leaders of tomorrow. And that's what we want to do. So before we leave out of here, we always talk about the one thing that we can leave people with. But before we do that, I do want to make sure that I want to share something with you all. If you are in Dallas, Fort Worth, coming October 30th, please understand we have our annual Scrubberween Healthcare Mixer, networking, food buffet, music, costume contest, cash bar. Make sure if you're going to drink too much, you get an Uber or a driver. But our goal is to make sure that we're having a good time. We work so hard in the healthcare space, and we just kind of want to let loose and enjoy each other in this place. So if you're in Dallas, Fort Worth, you want to have a good time, a SIPS time, come to help to Scrubberween, hosted by Scrubball in SIPS Healthcare Solutions. Lastly, it is a pay what you want. Every single event that we raise, we're raising money for the babies. We're raising money to be able to help people pay for their certification classes and scholarships so that we can get more leaders into healthcare. I believe that the best executive leaders from the basement to the boardroom can come from sterile processing. We deal with so many departments at one time, all at a time, that I truly believe that if you saw the growth trajectory that you can have starting from the basement, working your way up, there are so many opportunities that you have no idea that you have in healthcare. So listen, Scrubberween, come help us raise money and have fun at the same time. This is our annual Halloween event. And what might I tell you, last year we did have a blast. Okay, I want to leave you all with something. Derek, we're gonna let SGG finish. If you were to leave somebody with something, anybody with anything that you feel like this week they absolutely need to hear so they can push through, what would it be?
Well, man, just listening to this discussion we had today, it brought something to my attention that's needed to be heard or shared. In healthcare, you got to have a level of commitment that is unlike most industries you will work in. And you have to commit to the process of understanding your roles, the expectations, and the things you need to know to do your job every single day. Because so many things and people are impacted by the lack of understanding, the lack of commitment to your job, and the lack of dedication to learning the processes, especially as it pertains to sterile processing. Second thing, you have to have a sense of patient care, whether you are putting up the supplies or leaving the corrugated boxes in the hallway. You have to understand the importance of the little things, the importance or the types of effects that can have on a department for those corrugated boxes being in the hall. And then finally, you have to have integrity. You have to be willing to speak up. You have to understand not speaking up can cause so much more harm than you would if you were to speak up. You have to always be working for that patient and be working for whomever it is that is coming to your healthcare organization to receive services. You work for them. You work for them all, and it's a level of commitment that you have to take on to be great, to do your part in having successful outcomes to the patient.
That's a great point. This industry is unlike any other industry. And I oftentimes hear people, talk about the time that they're putting in and how you don't get paid, what you're worth. This, in most cases, healthcare started off as a nonprofit community work. It started, in the hands of monks and priests and nurses. It started in the hands of people who just wanted to extend to actually help people transition on in a soft, caring way or birth babies. Then it began to be a little bit more of a financial engine to help provide more support through all of the innovative actions that were happening at war, where surgeons were being born, and surgeries or not strategies, but I just had a brain fart where surgical procedures were being birthed in the field. If you study history, you can know where we are and you can know the future. Healthcare in large was never created to be this zero-sum game to becoming a millionaire with less time. It was those who had a heart for people and that wanted to be caregivers or supporters of that. Have people gotten wealthy providing support and services? Yes, there have been. However, when you take the heart out of healthcare, it's not healthcare anymore. You might as well call it wealth care if that's the objective of the game. But if you want a lucrative career, less hours, more money, healthcare is not it. It's not it. And if that's the plan that you have, the plot, the position, the 9 to 5, the books and all of this other stuff, you might as well just go private sector. Because what happens is the promotion of all the negativity of healthcare detracts youth and innovative leaders from wanting to come to a space that desperately needs it. So the very people that are pushing the future away are the very people that are in healthcare currently. So in order for me to get innovation, to find other opportunities, to create new jobs and careers, we must all want to attract people to it, not retract people from it. because it doesn't pay more. You just work more. This is the name of the game. So these are the things I just want people to kind of take into account. When it comes to healthcare, by and large, the profession of healthcare, there's that. Then there's a business of healthcare. That's another world. However, you got to understand what you said yes to and honor your yes. What you said yes to, honor your yes. And you're going to be able to see things like you can't believe. All right, SGG, if you want to leave one person with something, what would it be?
Consistent commitment. If you're going to be a part of healthcare in the field of sterile processing, you must come in willing to have consistent commitment. Those of us who have done it for years and loved it, it's because we were consistently committed to doing the job. And we evolved as the profession evolved. They used to amputate people's limbs, laying out on the side of the road with a with a little bit of liquor and a bullet between your teeth, and they'd heat the knife up over the fire. We have evolved from that. We learned that even though we amputated the limb, we compromised their body, and they in turn would sometimes die from an infection. What you do in this field requires consistent commitment, the willingness to learn, the willingness to change. Everybody, this is the real world, can't be a doctor. Everybody can't be a nurse. You can't be the lawyer. You can't be the CEO. There are jobs out here for everybody. And if you choose this profession, we're at the point now where we've evolved to professionalism plus consistent commitment. What you do matters in this field every day. You impact somebody's life. Team, be consistently committed, and we look forward to seeing you again next week on SPD 911.
You heard it from Golden. Peace.
SPD 911 isn't just a show, it's your emergency response team for sterile processing. Having a diverse organization, people make the mistake in trying to make everyone the same.
SPD 911, we stand
Yeah, you're asking for a pay raise every year.
Heard the stories, seen the tears, raw and real, we face the fight. Supporting each other, night and daylight.